John Miller had never thought of himself as a lucky man. His life was simple, ordinary, and sometimes frustratingly repetitive. Every morning, he would wake up before the sun, eat a quick breakfast, and drive his old, dented truck to work at the local auto shop. As a mechanic, John knew the ins and outs of every car engine, but he also knew that no amount of skill could make life suddenly easier. Bills piled up, his small apartment felt cramped, and his social life mostly revolved around a few friends who shared his love of baseball and burgers. Despite everything, John had a dream that kept him going. He often joked about it with his friends, saying, "One day, I'll hit the jackpot, and I'll never have to work another day in my life." His friends laughed, thinking he was joking, but John secretly bought a lottery ticket almost every week. It was a small hope, a little spark that made the boring weeks more exciting. He never thought he would actually win. People always said lottery winners were lucky, chosen by fate. John thought fate had forgotten him. One rainy Thursday evening, John found himself standing under the flickering neon sign of the corner store, shaking off his umbrella. The rain had soaked his jacket, and his shoes squelched with every step. He wandered inside, almost forgetting why he had come. Then, he saw the lottery tickets near the counter. Without thinking, he picked one up, a small smile forming on his tired face. "Why not?" he muttered. "Maybe today's my day." The next morning, John sat at his small kitchen table, a mug of coffee steaming beside him. He turned on the television and half listened to the morning news while scratching off his lottery ticket. The first few numbers didn't match. He shrugged and went to pour more coffee. Then, one by one, the numbers matched. His hands shook. Could this be real? Number after number, they matched perfectly. He blinked at the ticket, his heart racing, his mind refusing to believe what he saw. By the time the last number matched, John was staring at the ticket in disbelief. He had won. Not just a little prize, but the grand lottery prize. He laughed nervously, his eyes wide with amazement. This is real," he whispered to himself. He called his friends in a panic, shouting over the phone, "I won! I actually won!" His friends were equally shocked, their voices full of excitement, but also disbelief. John imagined what his life could be like now. He pictured a bigger house with a beautiful garden, a shiny car, vacations in places he had only seen in magazines. He dreamed of luxury and freedom, of finally leaving behind the long hours at the auto shop. The thought made his chest tighten with excitement. For once, he felt truly alive, like the world had opened a secret door just for him. The next day, he went to the lottery office, ticket in hand, expecting to collect his prize and begin his new life. But when he arrived, things were unusual. The office was quiet, almost empty, and the clerk who greeted him had a strange, serious look. "Mr. Miller," she said, "congratulations on your win. Your prize is unlike anything most winners expect." John frowned. "What do you mean? I thought I was getting the cash prize." The clerk smiled faintly. "In a way, you are. But the prize you have won is part of a special cultural program. Your reward is to meet and spend time with a woman from the Apache Nation. She has been chosen to share her culture, traditions, and way of life with you." John blinked. He felt a strange mix of confusion and disbelief. "Wait. What? You're saying, instead of money, I'm meeting a person?" "That is correct," the clerk said gently. "It may not be what you expected, but it is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Many who participate say it changes their life in ways money cannot." John stepped back, scratching his head. He had imagined wealth, comfort, and freedom, not a person. He felt a rush of disappointment, and for a moment, anger. "I don't understand. I thought I won money. The clerk's eyes softened. Think of it as a different kind of fortune. You will learn, grow, and experience life in a way very few people ever do. You'll meet someone remarkable, and she will help you see the world differently. John left the office that day feeling stunned and uncertain. He wandered the streets, the rain now gone, leaving a crisp, clean smell in the air. He tried to imagine what this would be like. He had no idea what to expect. The thought of traveling to a distant reservation and living with someone from a culture completely different from his own was frightening, yet strange feelings of curiosity began to stir inside him. A week later, John arrived at the Apache reservation. As the car wound through the open plains and rugged mountains, he felt a mixture of awe and nervousness. The land was breathtaking, wide skies, rolling hills, and the earthy smell of the desert. He realized how small his old life had been, how narrow his view of the world. This was different, alive, real. He was met by Ayana, the woman he was meant to spend time with. She stood with quiet confidence, her dark eyes observing him with careful curiosity. Her hair was long and shiny, and she moved with a grace that seemed effortless. John felt his nerves spike. He had expected a formal meeting, maybe even awkward introductions, but there was something in her presence that was calming, yet powerful. The first few days were strange. John tried to adapt, but he struggled with the rules and customs of the reservation. Ayana explained everything patiently, from cooking traditional meals to participating in daily chores. At first, he felt clumsy and out of place, dropping tools or misunderstanding instructions. Ayana would smile or chuckle, not in mockery, but in gentle encouragement. Slowly, John began to learn. He watched the way the community worked together, the way elders shared stories with respect, the way everyone had a role, but also a voice. It was so different from his old life, where everything had seemed rushed, lonely, or transactional. Here, he felt part of something bigger. As they spent time together, John noticed little things about Ayana. Her laugh, soft but full of life, seemed to make the air lighter. Her knowledge of the land, the plants, the animals, amazed him. She spoke of her ancestors with pride and care, and John found himself listening, wanting to understand everything. It was a world he had never imagined, a life he had never dreamed of. There were awkward moments, of course. John sometimes said the wrong thing, mispronounced words, or acted in ways that felt too outsider for the community. But Ayana never ridiculed him. She corrected him gently, explaining with patience. Over time, he realized that he was learning not just about her culture, but about patience, humility, and respect. One evening, as the sun dipped below the mountains, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, John and Ayana sat by a fire outside her home, the smell of burning wood mixed with the cool evening air. John thought about his old life, the routine, the bills, the constant worry, and compared it with this moment. He felt something stirring inside him, a mix of awe, gratitude, and an unfamiliar warmth. This is different from anything I imagined, he admitted quietly, looking at the fire. I thought I'd be rich by now, but I don't think I've ever felt richer than this. Ayana smiled, a quiet understanding in her eyes. Sometimes life gives us gifts in ways we don't expect. You thought money would make you happy. But happiness, it's more than that. It's connection, learning, understanding, and respect. John nodded, realizing how right she was. This journey was teaching him lessons that money never could. He was beginning to see the world from a new perspective, one that valued people, culture, and the beauty of everyday life. As the stars appeared overhead, John felt a sense of wonder he had never known. Winning the lottery had brought him here, but it was not the money that mattered. It was this experience, this chance to see life differently, and to learn from someone as remarkable as Ayanna. He knew the journey ahead would be challenging, but for the first time in his life, he felt ready, excited, and grateful for the unexpected fortune that had changed his life forever. John woke early the next morning. The soft light of dawn spilling across the reservation. The air smelled fresh, with hints of earth and pine, and the quiet was peaceful, unlike the constant hum of his old city life. He stretched and felt a sense of calm that had been missing from his world for a long time. Today was another chance to learn, to experience, and maybe to understand life in ways he had never imagined. Ayanna was already awake, tending to a small garden outside her home. She smiled when she saw John approaching, her presence calm yet powerful, like someone who had always belonged to this land. "Good morning, John," she said softly. "Ready to help today?" John nodded, trying to hide his excitement. "I am. What's first?" They spent the morning gathering herbs and vegetables. Ayanna explained which plants were useful for medicine, which ones were for cooking, and which ones had spiritual significance. John listened carefully, amazed at the depth of knowledge she had. Every movement she made seemed precise and full of respect for the land. He realized how little he knew about the world around him. Here, every stone, every plant, every animal had meaning. As they worked side by side, John noticed the way Ayanna's hands moved, skillful and steady. She spoke softly, but every word carried meaning. She shared stories of her ancestors, tales of courage, wisdom, and tradition. John was fascinated. He had read about history in books, but hearing it directly from someone living that culture made it real, alive, and unforgettable. After gathering what they needed, Ayanna invited John to join the community gathering that evening. It was a ceremony to honor their ancestors, a tradition held for generations. John felt nervous, but also honored. He had never been part of anything like this, and the thought of participating in a real, living tradition made him feel both small and important at the same time. The evening came, and the entire community gathered around a large fire. The flames flickered, casting dancing shadows across the faces of the people. John watched as Ayanna moved among them with ease, respected and admired. When she invited him to join, he hesitated for a moment, unsure of how to act. But her reassuring smile gave him courage. The ceremony began with music and song, the sounds of drums echoing in the night. John felt the rhythm in his chest, the vibration of the earth beneath his feet. He followed Ayanna's lead, trying to move as the others did. At first, he stumbled, his movements awkward, but she gently guided him, showing patience and kindness. Slowly, he began to feel a connection, not just to the people around him, but to the land, the fire, and the history that flowed through it. As the night went on, John realized that this experience was changing him. He had come expecting something simple, perhaps even entertaining, but he was learning lessons that no amount of money could buy. He learned patience, respect, and the beauty of living in harmony with others. He began to understand that life was about more than possessions. It was about people, culture, and shared experience. Over the following weeks, John and Ayanna grew closer. They worked together in the fields, cooked meals, and shared stories late into the night. John found himself listening more than talking, soaking in the wisdom she offered. He learned to hunt with respect for the animals, to fish without waste, and to appreciate the quiet moments that made life meaningful. Ayanna, in turn, saw John's willingness to learn, his open heart, and his genuine curiosity. She began to trust him, and slowly, he became part of the community. There were challenges, of course. John's old habits clashed with the new way of life at times. He would forget small rules, misunderstand customs, or act impulsively. Each time, Ayanna corrected him gently, never judging, always teaching. John realized that mistakes were not failures. Here, they were opportunities to learn and grow. This perspective was new to him, and he found it refreshing. One day, while they were walking along a river, John asked Ayana about her dreams. She paused, looking at the water flowing calmly over the rocks, and spoke with quiet strength. "I want my people to remember who we are," she said. "Our traditions, our stories, our connection to the land, it is all important. I want to share it, so it is never forgotten." John listened, feeling a deep respect for her. He thought about his own life, how he had chased money and comfort without truly understanding what mattered. Meeting Ayana and experiencing her world had opened his eyes. He realized that true richness came from connection, understanding, and respect, not from cash or possessions. As the days passed, John's bond with Ayana grew. They laughed together, shared meals, and worked side by side. John found himself looking forward to each day, excited to learn something new. He began to understand her perspective, seeing the world through her eyes. The beauty of the land, the importance of family, the value of patience. It all began to make sense. One evening, as they watched the sunset from a hilltop, John felt a sense of peace he had never known. The sky was painted in shades of orange, pink, and purple, and the wind carried the soft scent of flowers and earth. He turned to Ayana, feeling a deep gratitude. "I never imagined life could be like this," he said quietly. "I thought winning the lottery would make me happy, but nothing could have prepared me for this." Ayana smiled, her eyes reflecting the colors of the sunset. "You came here seeking wealth, but you found understanding, friendship, and respect. That is far more valuable than money." John nodded, realizing how true her words were. He thought about his old life, the long hours, the stress, the constant worry, and compared it to this new life, full of learning, connection, and growth. He felt richer than he had ever imagined, not in money, but in spirit and heart. By the end of his stay, John had changed in ways he could not have predicted. He had learned to listen, to respect, and to appreciate life in all its forms. He had discovered the strength and wisdom of Ayana and her people, and he had grown to understand that the most valuable things in life are not things at all, but experiences, connections, and lessons. When the time came for him to leave the reservation, John felt a mixture of sadness and gratitude. He had come expecting a lottery prize, but he was leaving with something far greater. He hugged Ayana, feeling a warmth and connection that went beyond words. "Thank you," he said, his voice thick with emotion, "for everything. I will never forget this." Ayana smiled, her eyes full of understanding. "Take these lessons with you," she said. "Remember that life is about more than what you own. It is about who you are, how you treat others, and how you connect with the world around you." John returned to his town a changed man. People noticed a difference in him. He walked with more confidence, spoke with more understanding, and treated others with kindness and respect. He often thought about Ayana and the lessons she had taught him. He shared stories of his experience, hoping to inspire others to see life differently, to value connection over wealth, and to embrace learning from people and cultures different from their own. Though he never received the money he had expected, John realized that the lottery had given him a priceless gift, a life-changing experience, a new perspective, and the chance to grow into a better, wiser, and more grateful person. He understood that sometimes the greatest fortunes in life come in forms we do not expect, and that the true wealth of a person lies in their heart, mind, and spirit. And so, John's life continued, not with riches, but with understanding, respect, and the knowledge that the world was far bigger, more beautiful, and more meaningful than he had ever imagined. The lottery had given him a lesson that money could never buy, and he carried it with him for the rest of his life, forever changed by the remarkable woman who had taught him the true meaning of fortune.